Welcome to the LawToolBox training video. To begin, go to www.LawToolBox.com. Client logon is in the top right-hand corner. After you log in, you'll see a list of your support staff and attorney users. I'm going to go to my attorney, Michael R. Soft, and click Open. So on the left-hand side of the screen, all of his cases will be listed under Case List. You'll notice that several cases have red initials next to them. That means that this case does not actually belong to Michael, but is shared to him through another attorney, BMM. To set up our first case, we're going to go to Setup Case in the top left-hand corner. Choose the state that the case resides, California, and now give it a nickname. Now we're going to choose our rule set, California Superior Court for LA County, and click Next Step. Now you can choose if you represent plaintiff or defendant. Case number will be your court case number. Court location is required. We'll say it's in Los Angeles. Email reminders are enabled for Michael R. Soft. We send an email reminder 7 days prior to every deadline saying in 7 days this deadline is due. Inside that email reminder will be practice tips as well as links directing you straight to the rules for that specific deadline. Matter number, client name, client number are all optional fields. You can go ahead and add in your client name here or your client's matter number. Go ahead and click Next Step. License and user agreement. It'll show up once every single time you set up a case. Scroll to the bottom and click I accept these terms. The last step of setting up the case is one of the most important. This is where you're going to share the case to any other users in the firm that need to be added on. Lori M. Jones is working on this case with Michael R. Soft, and our support staff, John and Jean, are working on it with him. Go ahead and click Continue, and now the case is set up. We can see that this is the Doe car crash in the California Superior Court of Los Angeles. The first thing I'm going to do is select the Trigger Dates tab. On the left-hand side of the screen, we have our primary trigger dates, and on the right-hand side of the screen, we have our secondary trigger dates. Our primary trigger dates are going to be those trigger dates that spur deadlines based off of the rules of procedure. Date action commenced, complaint, summons, answers, trials, anything that calculates deadlines based off of the rules. It goes in chronological order from the beginning of the case down to case management order and trial and judgment at the end. So if this was a brand new case, I'm going to go ahead and say that our action commenced on 4/15 of 2018. We'll say we have a date the summons and complaint served was 6/1/2018, and that was served by mail within California. For now, this is a brand new case, that's all we have. I'm going to scroll to the bottom of the screen and click Save Changes. This will automatically take us back to our deadline chart and display all of our pre-calculated deadlines based off of those two trigger dates. On the left-hand side of the deadline chart, we have our Done column. We suggest you go through and select the boxes for items that have been completed and check Done. That way, when the attorney comes in to review the case, they can see that these items have been completed and these items have not been completed. If any of these items are in the future and the 7-day email reminder gets sent out, it will say Done in capital letters at the beginning of the email reminder subject. We have, of course, the description of the deadline, and if you hover over each description, it'll give you a meatier, more in-depth description of exactly what we mean. We have the rule or the authority linking you directly to the court's website, and of course we have the day of the deadline. On the far right-hand side of this deadline chart is the Hide column, which we think is one of the most important. We certainly don't want to clutter calendars with dates that don't apply to your case. So if there are any dates, for example, deadline to file notice of removal to federal court, that don't apply and you don't want a 7-day email reminder or getting it added to your calendar, go ahead and select the box next to that deadline and click Hide. It will be removed from your deadline chart and you'll no longer receive an email on it. If you scroll to the bottom of the screen, all of your hidden deadlines will appear down here. You can click Reactivate and activate deadline to put it back into your deadline chart. Now let's say we get a court order to edit and change a deadline. So for example, deadline to serve summons with complaint and file proof of service. Let's say that the court changed that to Friday, June 15th. All we're going to do is click Edit. We're going to make a note as to why we're changing it. So per Judge Smith's order, changed to 6/15/2018. We'll change this to the 15th and click Save Changes. Now we're going to add a miscellaneous deadline that the court ordered. I'm going to go back to my trigger dates page, and instead of on our primary trigger dates, I'm going to go to our secondary trigger dates. Our secondary trigger dates are going to be one-off, ad hoc, miscellaneous, motions and hearings, basically everything you need to add in addition to the case. I'm going to go to miscellaneous and click Add. There's two ways to add a miscellaneous item. The first is if the judge simply gives us a deadline, ABC deadline due, on 7/1/2018. Scroll down, click Save Changes, it'll get added to your deadline chart, and you'll receive a 7-day email reminder prior. Or maybe the judge says XYZ is due 15 days before trial. Instead of having me hand calculate that, I'm going to scroll to the second half of the screen and type in my deadline description. XYZ due 15 days before trial. Type in our trial date, 10/1/2018, and I'm going to type -15 over in the calculator. You can decipher if that's calendar days, including your weekends, or court days, excluding your weekends. When I scroll down and click Save Changes, this is going to automatically calculate XYZ due 15 days before trial is actually due on 9/16/2018. Of course, any deadline that you add into miscellaneous will go onto your deadline chart and onto your calendar. LawToolBox adds deadlines onto your calendar as an all-day event at the top of the day of the deadline. So if there's a specific time of day that you need to block off, you're going to use our appointments feature. I'm going to go ahead and click Add and type in my description, hearing from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. I'll choose our date, I'll choose our starting time, 3 p.m., and I'll say it goes for 2 hours. You can type in the location and link to any documents as well. When I click Save Changes, after I add this to my calendar, it's going to block off the specific time on my calendar from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and the time zone that I'm in. Now when I go back to my deadline chart, all of my deadlines are updated to reflect any orders I received. It's time to add them to my calendar. At the top of the screen, I'm going to change this view from Summarized to Add to Calendar and switch. This is now going to give me the option to add it to a calendar at the top of the deadline chart. First, I'll choose my attorney, Michael R. Soft, and second, I'll choose myself, Lori M. Jones. I'll choose our calendar type, Outlook, and I'll choose our time zone, Mountain. Before I add any deadlines to my calendar or my attorney's calendar, I'm going to scroll through the deadline chart and deselect any deadlines I don't want to get added. For example, earliest date motion to dismiss for no proof of service. I know that that doesn't apply, but I don't want it removed from my deadline chart, so I check the box next to that deadline. When I scroll to the top of the screen and click Add, it's going to add everything that I selected. You can see that the deadlines are successfully sent. Now I'm going to go back to my trigger dates page and add a motion. I come over to Motions and Hearings and click Add. I'm going to name my motion ABC motion, and click Save and Continue. This is a mini calculator and you can use it multiple times for a case. It simply takes you through the steps of the motion. Number 1, date the motion was served. We'll say that was 3/1/2017. I can skip over 2, 3, 4 because these are just telling us what deadlines are being calculated. I'm going to scroll down to number 8 and type in our hearing. When I scroll down and click Save Changes, it's going to automatically take us back to our deadline chart. I'm going to go ahead and search for ABC motion. You can see next to every motion deadline, it puts the name of the motion. That way, if there's multiple motions, you'll know which deadline corresponds with which motion. The same works for any of these other calculators. If there are multiple case management conferences, you add them here. If there are multiple complaints and answers, you add them here. Now let's say I need to add somebody in addition to this case. I'm going to go over to Access on the far right hand side of the screen, Choose them from the pull-down list and click Grant Access. Once I add them to the case, they will start receiving the email reminders as well. But in order to get the deadlines on their calendar, I need to go back to my deadline chart, select their email, and click Add. Now if I click back home, I see the case listed on the left-hand side of the screen. And if I click on that case, I can see all the deadlines coming up for this matter. But maybe I want to see all of my deadlines coming up for the next week or the next 2 weeks across all of my matters. And for that, we have a Friday report up here at the top of the screen. We call it a Friday report because we recommend you pull it on Fridays, give it to the attorney on the following Monday, and say from Monday through Friday, here are your deadlines coming up for the next week or the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to choose my time frame, 8/12 to 8/22, and click Open. This is going to give me a bird's eye view of all of my deadlines coming up across this time frame for all of my cases. It will tell you the day of the deadline, the case it's associated with, the description of the deadline, and then the attorneys and support staff that are shared on that case. Now I would like to send this report to my attorney. I click the email button, select my attorney, select myself, and click Send. Now we both have a comprehensive report of the deadlines coming up for the next 2 weeks. Now let's say the case is no longer active and it needs to be closed. I'm going to go ahead and go into the case, select all of the deadlines, and click Cancel. This will remove any future deadlines off of their calendar. After I cancel all of the deadlines, I'm going to close this matter. Come up here to the top left-hand corner and click Close Case. I'll select it from the pull-down list and click Close Case. It's going to ask me to confirm, and then it's going to ask me if I want to make any notes on this case. Closed early, per LAQ, and Submit. You'll notice it's removed from the left-hand side of the screen and will no longer receive email reminders on it anymore. Now let's say our client comes back in a month and I need to reactivate that closed case. Top left-hand corner, select Archives, select the case from the pull-down list, and click Reactivate Case. I'm going to confirm the reactivation, and now we'll see it on the left-hand side of the screen listed here again. If I need to re-add the deadlines, simply go into the case and click Add. If you have any questions while setting up a case, please visit our support manual in the top right-hand corner.